What's up, everyone? Greg and Ryan here for another breakdown of AHS 1984. This is episode 3, Slashdance.
Now remember, guys, follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. We're putting a ton of fun content out on all those channels, so make sure you're following us.
Again, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen this episode yet, get out of here, go watch it, and then come on back.
Hurry up.
But before Freddy, there was a very real nightmare that stretched far beyond the quaint, sleepy suburb of Elm Street. A very real epidemic that claimed the lives of many healthy men in their sleep without warning.
Now, Greg, let's start with the title, Slashdance. Apparently, it's a movie that came out in 1989. I have not seen it myself, but have you?
No, but I really want to, so I'm gonna rent this or find it somehow. It's apparently on like a compilation DVD, so I gotta grab that first. And then when I watch it, I'm gonna talk about it here. So probably by, I say next week or the week after, we're gonna talk about that. I'll do a mini breakdown for Slashdance.
Nice. Now, apparently it's about a female cop who goes undercover as a dancer at an old theater to catch a serial killer who has been murdering women auditioning for a musical.
The one sheet, the poster is awesome. So I want to watch this movie so bad.
We'll have to watch that soon. Now, when it comes to AHS, it's fitting, you know, slash, a lot of slashing in this show, and dancing, a lot of aerobics as well. So this episode picks up where we left off the last one, obviously, with some knocking at the doors.
For both
groups of kids are basically being hunted down by the two separate killers. And all the cliches are thrown at us right here. You know, you have to...
Stay away from the
windows.
Stay away
from the windows, which they don't do, and basically the killers are able to get inside.
Side note, when they're trying to block Richard Ramirez from getting through the window, and they put in like a big dresser drawer or something over there, inside of it, it looks like there's like a figure. It looks like Rubber Man. I don't think it is, but I can't figure out what the hell that is.
It was weird, yeah.
Yeah, it's super weird.
Now let's talk about Ray. Because the seeds of Ray and kind of the person that he is get
planted there.
Planted right there. Like he's all about himself.
Yes, yes he is.
He does not want to help the team. He's basically like every man for himself. You know, he goes that whole Darwin line. He basically wants to run, split up, run for your lives, and he knows that he will outrun everyone else. Not a good dude.
I know I can run faster than at least 2 of you. So let's just say that 3 people lucky enough to make it meet up at the parking lot.
So the clock was ticking on Ray's time here.
Totally.
Right after that. You knew it was done so at some point. Okay, can we talk about Ramirez again? Because he's really sloppy here. If this really is Richard Ramirez, which now I'm having my doubts, he's just slashing up Ray, and he could have just stabbed him. That could have been it right then and there.
Yeah, a couple cuts on his arms. I mean, when we saw last week, he attempted to kill Brooke on the pier, on the dock, and like completely missed her. You know, she's all alone by herself, like an easy kill for, you know, the Night Stalker, you would think. And now Ray makes it out because thankfully for Chet, but yeah, he was just carving up his, like, giving little paper cuts almost.
Okay, those were some gnarly paper cuts, but still.
You're right, yeah, maybe it was a little bit deeper than a paper cut.
Back with Cody, Montana, and Trevor, they're hiding from Jingles apparently, and we get like a little, we thought it was like a Molotov cocktail or something coming through the window.
Right.
It's shit.
It's a bag of shit!
Nice throw, bro.
So it's just a bunch of kids pranking people. Cool. All right.
Right. On the anniversary of the massacre, they go around, they dress up as Jingles. They even have the damn mask of his likeness, you know, almost like a Michael Myers mask. And
John Carroll Lynch, I hope he gets those masks.
He better take one home.
I hope he has one just on a mantle. That's so awesome.
That's really awesome. But yeah, they're basically pranking anyone in the area. Now, I thought about this, you know, it's not popular enough that the wider Los Angeles area would know about this, right?
These kids don't, at least.
Yeah, those kids wouldn't. But like people that are local to this area, this community, apparently they just do this every year. But this is the wrong year to do it because another horror movie cliche, the real killer is right behind them.
The real killer sees an imposter, stab. We've seen it a lot of times, including on AHS. It happened in, I think it was Asylum.
Yeah, Asylum. Remember Leo and Teresa, shout out to Adam Levine, the dumbest honeymooners ever. They actually go into the abandoned Briarcliff Manor for some reason and start hooking up. And then all hell breaks loose. You know, they run into imposters of Bloody Face in the damn abandoned Briarcliff Manor. But then unfortunately, the real Bloody Face, the son of Bloody Face at least, Johnny Morgan, shows up and kills everybody.
So Chet saves Ray from the Night Stalker. Shout out, steroids, good job. But with that, they immediately fall into a punji pit.
Yeah, ouch. That is not not look good at all. And basically, what Chet believes is that it's from Jingles, because Jingles was, of course, in the Vietnam War. Now, punji pits or punji sticks, all these traps, were used by the Viet Cong all across the Vietnam War. So the connection makes sense that, you know, Jingles would make this, but how does he have time to build this?
He doesn't, but there's something going on here, and I'm just going to let it happen.
Right.
Because in the next episode, we see Brooke is about to get taken out and impaled by another weapon that looks just like that in the sky. Right.
You think either he made it like years ago, but then how did no one else stumble upon this or into it? You know, is the whole place rigged with these booby traps, like
Maybe.
across the whole camp? That's the worst camp ever, if so. But yeah, it does not look good for Chet. I mean, he has it right through his shoulder, and they're just basically stuck down there.
And Chet gives one of my favorite lines.
Jesus Christ, what the hell kind of camp is this?
With that, Gus Kenworthy's doing a great job. I'm on board. His acting this is so good in this episode.
Yeah, the first 2 episodes were a little bit shaky, but in this episode, it did not.
He's starting to he's getting there.
Get in the groove.
I'm loving it.
Now, this doesn't happen often, but Jingles actually lets someone live.
Yes. Well, Rita, too.
But Rita as well, but we'll get to that soon. But another poor imposter who has his inhaler, and he's just wants to make friends.
His mom paid for those dudes to hang out with him. Oh.
He's dressed up as Jingles, and Jingles, I was surprised to see that he didn't kill him.
No, I like that scene.
Yeah, he let him live. He just kind of felt bad for the guy, and it's just like he was kind of in a state of shock almost. Jingles was like, "Whoa, is this really happening?" Like. It's a lot to kind of take in. You get out of that hospital, that prison, and there's people dressed up as you that idolize you, that celebrate you, and this poor soul is just, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's stumbling across the woods, trying to take a leak, and he came this close to death. Well, he actually gets it later on, but.
Oof. Right after that, we catch up with Brooke and Nurse Rita, who we find out quickly after that she's not exactly who she says she is.
Now, we had these suspicions early on,
Yep.
As we have had for a number of people in the show, but the fact that, as we said earlier, that she survived that initial run-in with Jingles, with a little bit of blood on her, like we were already kind of like suspicious of her motives and who she really is, and this is when we find out that she shoots Brooke with a tranquilizer and drugs her. Then we get more of her backstory.
Of course.
You're confused, aren't you? Don't worry. Nurse Rita's gonna make it all better.
We find out that a week prior to the events at Camp Redwood, Miss Rita's real name is Donna Chambers.
And she went to go visit Dr. Hopple, and basically she pitches her on the idea of letting her talk with Jingles, with Benjamin Richter, because she's gotten confessions out of a handful of other serial killers across the U.S.
Yes. Yeah, she's gotten confessions out of Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy.
I mean, just because you got 30 bodies buried in your crawl space don't mean you can't have a really terrific rec room and be a respectable businessman.
And if you're wondering what was the most suspicious line by any character in this episode, it's definitely Rita, or Donna.
The reawakening of Mr. Jingles.
So Donna is fascinated with serial killers, to say the least.
Yes.
And they bring her in to talk to Jingles, and they set her up with, Jingles hasn't talked for how long? Like years?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so just like Michael Myers and Halloween, they're setting you up the same story, backstory, but with that, she gets him to talk in 5 seconds.
Yeah, not really hard for him to talk.
Not at all.
That was pretty funny.
Let's move this plot along.
Exactly. And I also found it funny that there's literally no security in the room.
Just turn off that tape.
And she can just turn off that tape recorder when she pleases. It's. You'd think that they would take this a lot more serious with a person of his stature.
Take care of that pesky guard. Hit the switch. Find the bag.
So Donna is the one who orchestrated Jingles' escape, apparently.
Right. She left the bag for him. She told him exactly what to do, and she basically just wanted him to show up back at Camp Redwood
To relive his crimes one more time. She's doing some mind hunting.
She wants to study him in his natural habitat, and basically, by doing so, she would then get the research and knowledge to stop those that may be headed down a similar path at a younger age. Right. So she wants him to be the last serial killer.
Okay.
Ever.
Even sitting here, looking at that face, I want to stab her over and over.
Why does she want to do this? Who knows? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
who knows? And she's willing to sacrifice innocent people. We think innocent people. She's willing to sacrifice lives in order to make this possible.
I don't know. Maybe she researched these kids, but I doubt it. We'll see here. Something weird's going on.
Yeah.
And then we meet the real Nurse Rita. Poor Nurse Rita.
She's just going to her summer gig, right? She's just driving down the highway, and she sees another car following her. She's a little bit sketched out because she's obviously heard the stories of kind of what goes on in the news here, and she kind of just a little bit freaked.
So they have a creepy convo right there at Roy's gas station again.
Right.
And then from there we get what? Oh, Maneater.
Yeah. If when she's in the car, you hear Hall & Oates, Maneater. Based on the lyrics of some of these songs that we're hearing, you know it's not going to end well for some of these characters. Now, initially, I thought, oh my God, Donna killed her right there in that second. But I was like, maybe she didn't seem like quite the serial killer that we thought she is.
We need those bodies for the camp. So right. Yes, I think that's why they did it that way.
Right.
They didn't have her die there. Obviously, also she's driving the car. Were they just going to crash? How was she going to stop the car?
Exactly. Yeah. So she brings her back and basically ties her up and keeps her wrapped up and put away at the camp itself. Now, we find out later on that poor Nurse Rita actually does die in one of our kills of the week, an incredible kill. Not incredible. I'm sorry, Nurse Rita, but an oar down her throat, Greg. That was brutal. Now, if you thought Rita, aka Donna, was the only one with a shady backstory, well, Ray, we're looking at you, bro, because wow.
Step up to the plate. It's your time to give us your horrible, horrible backstory.
And he's back in the pit with Chet, and Chet looks like he's passed out. So now it's time for him to deliver all this exposition of what happened to him. And
the appropriate time,
of course. The appropriate time to just basically come clean with everything you've done in your life. And we flash back to last year, I believe, and he's at his fraternity at a party, and they're making all the pledges drink a ton of alcohol.
Yep.
And it just goes horrifically wrong. One of the pledges, Chan, falls down the stairs and seemingly
he's dead.
Seemingly kills himself. So, Greg, if this happened, most of us would just call 911. We're not responsible for the death of the person or the injury, but he wants to cover it all up.
Poor Chan. So he puts him in a car and tries to simulate him driving off the cliff. But of course, he's alive.
Chan's alive, and he's like, what's going on? What am I doing? And he scratches at him to save him. He's like, hold on, and his watch falls off.
He rips the watch off.
Yeah. So Ray is now connected with an actual murder of Chan. So Ray's trying to basically lay low because they just found the car. And Ray, you're a horrible dude.
This kind of reminds me of Goonies when Chunk makes that stupid confession.
Yes.
In 5th grade, I knocked my sister Edie down the stairs, and I blamed it on the dog.
So after Ray gives out his backstory to the audience,
completely comes clean,
and unconscious Chet, which he thought was unconscious, he was not. He wakes up, tells him he heard everything.
Now he knows the secret. And Ray's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna get out of here now, and I'm just gonna leave you here to die. So just when you thought Ray was a horrible human being, it literally gets worse. And I found it funny that he easily hops out of the pit, like he was there the whole time and couldn't do it, but then he's like, okay, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Ray then meets up with Xavier, Montana, and Trevor, and doesn't tell him that he just left Chet to die.
No, not yet. He doesn't confess anything.
But Montana does get a great line in.
Who the hell is Bernie?
The cook.
Now, Trevor and Xavier do find Chet in that pit later on.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that he went down there to save him.
That's so cool.
After Ray just kind of ditched, Ray's all about himself and very selfish and wouldn't even try to save the poor guy. But Xavier, no questions asked, just went down there and they pull him out of there, and he's obviously brutally injured, but they get him out. They actually get him out of the pit.
But then right after that, Trevor thinks he can take out Jingles.
Yeah.
And everything looks like it's going along too easy. So, of course, it turns out that Jingles was the poor kid from earlier.
Just so we're all clear, that wasn't Jingles.
But right before that, Greg, Trevor has one of the most epic lines about his guns.
His knife versus my guns.
Now, Trevor tells Ray about his bike, which at this point, the alarm bells are going off in your head like, oh, he's going to get his head chopped off any second now. And then it's, of course, Ray and Montana are left alone with the Night Stalker. And Ray's like, I'm getting the f out. Peace out, everybody. Screw this town. I'm just leaving. He's a coward already. He's all about himself. Gets on that bike, and everyone's like, all right, here it comes. So where's it happening? And then I'm pretty sure Jingles has had his tongue out like, batter up.
Boom.
Done.
Batter up! Pretty cool shot as like his head is completely decapitated and he's kind of still, the bike is still going, and just like a headless Ray just going straight ahead. Definitely one of our kills of the week. Now, if he dies at the camp, and this goes for everybody who dies at the camp, does that mean that they're gonna come back at some point?
Well, don't sleep on the line he gives right before it. I'll see you guys soon in another life. Now, I took that line as one thing. One, he could obviously come back as a Ghost Ray here for this season, which would be hilarious if he does, if all the kids come back. Or two, I take it as a meta line for AHS in general.
Right.
And he's just
a lot of these characters we see
I'll
time
see
and time
you
again.
Yes, I will be back. And he probably will in the season 9 or 10 if they close it all out and say it's all purgatory hell that everyone's trapped in some kind of limbo, which it could be.
Jesus Christ, what the hell kind of camp is this?
Back with Montana and the Night Stalker.
Another twist. Yet another twist.
Of course, of course. For a second, I thought, oh, Montana, she's using whatever she's got left here, her last moves to try to save herself.
Trying to hook up with him and save her life.
Yes, and she's gonna stab him in the back or something. No, they're in on it together.
Why the hell haven't you killed her yet?
Every week there's a lot of deaths in this show, so let's talk about our favorite kill of the week. A handful of people died this week. The imposters got the bad end of it. Then that pit, it killed a few people, or almost killed a few people. Then we get the oar down the throat of poor Nurse Rita. And then Ray deservingly gets his head chopped off. So what would be your kill of the week?
Well, it's not Ray, because it would be, but again, at the end of the day, he was still the first black guy killed on the show from the original group, so f that. I'm gonna go with Nurse Rita. OG Nurse Rita.
Horrifying for her. Poor girl was just like, wrapped up the whole time, just going for her summer gig, She was looking to make a few extra bucks at camp, and she gets, abducted, and then she literally, as soon as she kind of frees herself for a minute there, Jingles is waiting to kill her.
Don't worry, the camp's haunted. She'll be back.
Mine has to be Ray. He deserved this. He had it coming to him. After everything we've seen, after the backstory that we learned about Ray, and just how he overall treated all of his so-called friends. I mean, when we were introduced to this crew, they seemed kind of tight with each other, I would never, if you and I are in the woods and someone's hunting us, I wouldn't just run away from you, Greg. I wouldn't just leave you alone. We're gonna get out of this together.
I would at least give you some, some food.
Give you a weapon.
I'll give you a stick, or pull one of those sticks out and hold on to this. I'm gonna go get you some help.
Ray is all about himself. He's just wants to leave as quick as possible. He wants to run in a separate direction. He wants to take the bike, the only way of transportation out of there. He's not even willing to give someone a ride on the bike. I mean, 2 people can fit on a motorcycle. I mean, let's be honest.
This you know that I'll never ever doubt you. 'Cause sweetheart, I never wanna be without you.
I've never seen a Vanilla Ice movie. All I've seen is Ninja Turtles when he has the ninja rap.
Oh my god. All right, let's jump into a few questions and theories we have going forward for the rest of the season. All right, let's start with Montana and Ramirez.
Yeah, how did these two kind of link up, and how long have they known about this kind of plan that they're hatching? I mean, obviously we know that Montana kind of not interrogated, but kind of brought Brooke along into the group of friends, right? And kind of knew that she was kind of new to the area and kind of kept to herself and was the last American virgin. So she kind of made a mark on her, right? And then had Ramirez kind of track her down, knew where she lived possibly as well.
Yes, in the preview we see that they meet possibly at the aerobics studio.
Yeah.
Which everyone could be involved if that's the case then.
This aerobics class is just one big cult?
Yes.
Horrible.
But with that said, it looks like they may have just targeted Brooke.
Yeah.
But I wonder if everyone's targeting Brooke somehow, and that's how she's gonna survive, like lions fighting after their own prey.
Right, so you're saying that basically a handful of different people all had their own separate plans to hunt down this poor girl Brooke, and basically they're all
stuck in the middle.
And this is all gonna be a massacre of bodies, but Brooke will survive because they're basically all stupid.
We're getting a lot of dark backstory here from a lot of different characters. Richard Ramirez, Ray, Brooke. I think the list goes on. Even, the camp counselors, Margaret.
Yeah.
How are they all together at this camp? Is something else going on here to bring them all together?
Well, I have a wild theory, and I'm a fan of Predator. Who isn't? Predators with Adrian Brody. All these killers are sent down to this island, and they get hunted by the Predator. What if this camp is sort of a punishment for the sinners, for people that have this background or they've done horrible things? It's like almost like a social experiment, or to see how they would react to a serial killer hunting them down. I don't know if it's like a purgatory or if it's literally like a hellhole.
I hope it's not Mutt and Jeff or whatever from Apocalypse. They're running this whole thing. I hope that's not what's going on. But it could be.
The supernatural. That might be part of the reason why that explains the supernatural.
It's a video game. It's some kind of Bandersnatch thing.
Yeah, of the '70s, hiker that kind of reappears and kind of respawns.
He's a glitch.
He's a glitch in it, maybe. That basically these people are all being punished for what they've done in the past.
And all of this is my punishment.
Having said that, it kind of makes me even more suspicious of Brooke, right? All we know about Brooke so far, she seems to be like the innocent final girl. But do we really trust her story about what happened at the altar? Do we know about it? It's only like she's narrating that, right? She's telling us.
Someone's gonna give us that skeet scene. It's either Xavier or Brooke. I feel like it's coming any day now.
Yeah.
And, I feel like Xavier's going to break my heart now that he's my new number one. He's knocked Montana off the mountain for the moment, but Xavier, I can't trust him either. I feel like any moment now he's just going to stab us in the back.
Literally, no one can be trusted in this show.
Nope.
Now it does look that we're going to get a little Ramirez versus Jingles action coming soon.
Hopefully it's Jingles and not one of these kids again.
Yeah, and that would make sense because it seems like their motivations and what they're after are two separate things. That they're, one is trying to kill Brooke, and one is trying to get back at Margaret.
Yeah.
It became pretty clear that Jingles, he gets a little uneasy even seeing photos of Margaret, so he definitely wants to stab her numerous times when he does see her.
So we finally see Chef Birdie in the preview for next week's episode. So, what's her deal here in this whole thing?
Who the hell is Birdie?
The cook.
It's they use it for comedic bits, right? They're using like Xavier trying to go see her late at night. Like it's a funny little thing, but I'm very suspicious of Birdie because where has she been this whole time?
I would love it if she made the pit. If she's making all these Kevin McAllister traps.
She's in on the whole thing. She's helping kill all these kids that come to the camp to work for the camp.
Doubtful.
Well, because she knows so much history of what's gone on there.
Yeah.
She's been there forever. So she's definitely hiding and covering up some horrible things in the past.
Yeah, it's magic up here in the fresh air.
So those are some of our theories and questions that we have moving forward. But hey, anything can happen. This show is going to be filled with a ton of twists. We've seen a handful already, but it's going to get even wilder.
Can you trust anyone on this show? Let us know in the comment section down below. And we will see you all back here next week for episode 4.
Real Killers, I think it's called.